Reddit just hit 121 million daily active users, and most marketers are still ignoring it. That is a massive audience hiding in plain sight. The brands that figure out how Reddit actually works are printing traffic, building trust, and ranking on Google. The ones that don't are getting banned in their first week. I sat down with 3 people who figured it out, and in this video, they're going to help me and give me their complete Reddit playbook. Here's what is happening right now. According to Reddit's latest earnings report, their revenue jumped 70% last quarter to $726 million. Their advertiser base grew 75%. Google is paying Reddit $60 million a year to surface Reddit content in search results, and Reddit posts are showing up everywhere, in AI answer engines, in Google's featured snippets, in the discussions and forums carousel. This is not the Reddit of 5 years ago. This is a platform that's becoming the internet's trust layer. And if you stay until the end, I will give you a complete 90-day playbook to build Reddit into a real marketing channel for your business, step by step. So why should you care about Reddit in 2026? You have Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Why add another platform? Because Reddit is no longer just a forum, it is becoming a search engine. Think about how you search for things now. When you want to know the best CRM for a small team or whether a product is actually worth buying, what do? You add Reddit to the end of your Google search. I asked Ross Simmonds about this. He's been doing Reddit marketing since 2016 and literally wrote the book on it.
For years, there was not a lot of people who wanted to talk to me when I would discuss Reddit. They thought I was crazy, that I was completely out to lunch. But if you fast forward to probably 2 years ago, there was a shift in a tide that kind of changed in the water. Specifically, it was connected to Google and Reddit coming out publicly with an announcement that they were going to have a partnership. And as a part of that partnership, there was an increase in SERP visibility of Reddit.com. So for the last few years, we've been tracking and monitoring Reddit and how visible it is in the SERP because we started to pick up on a simple nuance. And that was that the vast majority of people were starting to shift the way that they searched for answers to questions like what's the best mattress, what's the best CRM. They were adding the word Reddit because they wanted to hear from people. Google picked up on this trend too. And when they realized that, they decided to become partners with Reddit, and that resulted in more traffic going to reddit.com than pretty much any site for a short period of time.
And it goes beyond Google. Ross brought up something that a lot of people are not talking about yet.
When Google and Reddit launched this partnership, more and more brands started to recognize there was an opportunity there. But then it got compounded even further because the data started to show that LLMs were using Reddit as a primary source. Whether you look at ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Grok, you name it, the vast majority of the large language models were citing content on Reddit, and it was impacting buyers on a day-to-day basis. So marketing teams, C-suite specifically, woke up to the power of this channel that is very much powered by humans.
So Reddit is influencing how people find you on Google and how AI tools recommend you. This is exactly why HubSpot hired Krista Doyle to build out their first ever Reddit strategy.
My name is Krista Doyle, and I have been in organic marketing for over 10 years. D mostly has been in SEO and content strategy and community. So I've sort of like lived at the intersection of those 3 things. I've been super lucky. I've gotten to work for, B2C companies like Twitter, AI companies like Jasper, and then most recently I was at HubSpot helping them build out their first ever Reddit specific strategy as part of their overall AI search efforts. And then I was there for about a year, and now a few months ago I've just started my own Reddit strategy consultancy. So now I'm kind of helping other companies do exactly what I did at HubSpot. I mean, the major benefits of Reddit for AI search, obviously, like Reddit has deals with Google and OpenAI where they are training on its content. And so when you're there engaging consistently, any conversations you're taking part in are naturally going to be fodder for any of these AI search tools. And so, that's why it's so important, because if you want AI search to recommend you, not only just recommend you, but recommend you the correct way, the way you want it to, then, that's why you want to be in Reddit, talking about the things that are important to your company and your brand.
Let that sink in. 85% of how AI tools talk about your brand comes from third-party sources, places like Reddit. If you're not in those conversations, someone else is shaping your story for you. And here is the number that should get your attention from a pure business standpoint. Reddit's average revenue per user increased 42% last quarter. Each Reddit user is becoming more valuable to advertisers, which means the audience is engaged, spending money, and paying attention. But here's what makes Reddit truly different from every other platform. On Reddit, your reach is determined by the quality of what you post, not the size of your following. A brand new account with 0 followers can get a post seen by 100,000 people if the content is genuinely valuable, and that is the opportunity. Now here's where most marketers mess up completely. They treat Reddit like every other social platform. Post a link, add some hashtags, wait for clicks, and then they get downvoted into oblivion or banned outright. And look, that fear is real. When I talk to marketers about Reddit, the number one thing I hear is, I'm scared of getting banned. Krista hears the same thing.
A lot of hesitancy and nervousness around this topic right now. So a lot of companies will come to me very interested in Reddit, but super hesitant because they're either really intimidated by how nuanced the platform is and how kind of potentially risky it could be, or they're hesitant because they just don't know how to get started and they don't know how to prove out the value of Reddit as a marketing channel in order to get, buy-in or budget or any of that kind of stuff. So really what people are coming to me wanting first is, how do we get started and where should we be engaging? What should that engagement look like? How do we avoid getting banned? Should we start a branded subreddit? Should we not? So really just like Reddit 101 type of information people are looking for from the beginning.
And Ross has a different perspective on getting banned because he has been banned a lot.
I've been banned probably 18 times over my lifetime on Reddit, and the difference between me and many others is that I kept coming back with new insights around what the community wanted. Most people get banned once and they're gone. They're like, I give up. This place is not for me. What I think you need to do is take a couple L's. It's okay to lose once in a while, but learn why you took that L. Maybe you didn't read the rules for why you got banned from that subreddit. Maybe you used a massive M dash when you shouldn't right now on Reddit because it's a filter that's signaling that this might have been written with AI. Maybe you decided that you were going to hire someone who doesn't actually know a lot about Reddit and they just spammed a bunch of communities with your links, and now your entire brand is wiped off of the internet when it comes to Reddit. You learned the hard way. So my advice to folks is to, one, start by actually embracing the fact that you should probably work with an expert, someone who knows it, has embraced it, and has used it for a long time, or just use it as a channel to listen, to learn. Spend the first month just observing how Reddit interacts with your brand.
See, I love that. Take a couple L's, learn why, come back better. That is the mindset. So here's what you need to understand about Reddit's culture before you post anything. First, the community comes before you. Every subreddit is its own micro community with its own rules, its own tone, its own unwritten expectations. What works in the marketing subreddit will get you roasted in the entrepreneur subreddit. You have to read the room before you open your mouth. Krista put it really well when we talked about posting in different communities.
Really, it depends on, it varies subreddit to subreddit. So some subreddits have more strict guidelines around what they consider high quality content, and others are just way more loose. So definitely make sure to read the rules and the community guidelines. But honestly, it would be similar to, is it the type of quality that you would be comfortable posting on LinkedIn or your blog? Maybe not necessarily like exactly, worded the exact same, but like, is it good, helpful information? Is it relevant to the subreddit and the topics that they talk about frequently? Is it conversational and friendly? I think tone, like understanding the tone of the subreddit you're in is huge.
Second, karma is everything. Karma is Reddit's reputation system. You earn it by posting and commenting things that other people find valuable. They upvote you, your karma goes up. You post garbage, they downvote you, and your karma drops. Many subreddits have minimum karma requirements to even post, so you cannot just create an account and start marketing. You have to earn the right to speak. According to Sprout Social's 2026 research, nearly 1 in 3 social media users now turn to Reddit specifically to connect with niche communities. These people are not casually scrolling. They are actively looking for real answers from real people. And third, the give before you get rule. Krista has a great way of framing this.
I would say your first 2 to 3 months are strictly trust building. Like, this is an upfront investment in building your credibility in the right communities, in the right places, and adding value to the communities that are important to you. Once you do sort of have that credibility established, it's not that Reddit hates, marketers necessarily. It just hates when marketers come in with the intention of getting and not giving. And so I think it's really all about, like, you get what you give. And so if you put in the time and you give the energy, then when you do occasionally drop a mention of your brand or, talk specifically about a scenario that you've seen on your team and mention your brand, people are going to be very open to that.
It is understandable why you would be afraid. But the only reason why you should continue to be afraid is if you are going in with a selfish intention. If you go into Reddit and you have the belief that you actually can add value to the communities in which you want to show up in, you'll win. But you have to understand the rules of the subreddit before you join.
Both of them said the same thing independently. If you go in to give, you win. If you go in to take, you get banned. That is the entire game. All right, let's get tactical. Here's your step-by-step system for turning Reddit into a real growth channel. Step 1, set up your account the right way. And this is where I want to start with something that both Ross and Krista feel strongly about: transparency.
My stance is that brands should be very transparent. So I think brands should start from a place of, talking from the standpoint of, we are team X brand, or from, I am a team member at this company. So I generally recommend at least having a team account. So let's just continue to use HubSpot as an example. So I would recommend having a HubSpot team handle, but then if you wanted an individual handle for someone to engage with as an individual, then I would maybe do something that's sort of still transparent, but Krista at HubSpot, or something that kind of clearly states who you are. That's typically where I lean. I know that anonymous accounts have been really popular in the past, but they just are coming off very spammy now, and Reddit and all the moderators and stuff are really tightening up and getting really strict about anonymous accounts that seem like they are marketers. So I would avoid that for sure with account setup.
I think you have to embrace the transparency. I think by being transparent, it elevates your brand. If you can go in again and be fully transparent about the fact that you represent this organization and this company, it's going to give goodwill to the company. The other thing that I like about this strategy versus the anonymous accounts and just creating random accounts and going in and engaging is it actually establishes a little bit more brand equity for the business, where someone who runs this account, manages this account, could eventually pass the account off to someone else if there happens to be employee churn or some variation of that. So I'm a big believer in having it transparent and jumping into the conversations and communicating. And then also, if you do need that third-party validation, ideally you have customers. You have customers who you can send to threads, who you can ask to leave you a review, who you can ask to chime in if they have feedback and thoughts. Those are opportunities that you can tap into as well.
So to summarize, use a real profile picture, make it clear who you are and where you work in your username or bio. Link your product in your bio, not in every post, And here is something most guides will not tell you. Use an existing email when you create your Reddit account. If you create a brand new email and a brand new Reddit account at the same time, Reddit spam filters will flag you immediately. Step 2, warm up your account. This is not optional, and Krista has a really specific framework for this that I want to walk through.
Definitely a warm-up process. And I think this is where a lot of teams get scared, but you shouldn't be scared. It's not that complicated. It's really just about being consistent and being patient. So I would suggest like 6 to 8 weeks of warming up your account. And that doesn't mean you can't do anything, but I would maybe think of it in maybe 3 different phases. So, the first 2 to 3 weeks, I would really just like get a lay of the land. So at this point, you've probably chosen the subreddits that you want to be engaged in. So I would just really deep dive and get to know those subreddits. So you are kind of lurking in there, you're reading the posts, you're getting a sense of what topics are talked about and kind of the group norms. You're maybe upvoting. You are, potentially commenting here and there if you see anything where you can add value. You are not mentioning brands. You are not posting links. You're not creating actual posts. You're just sort of scrolling, lurking, upvoting. And then the next couple of weeks, I would say, is where you can really start to add in comments. Still, like where you can add value, I would still avoid brand mentions and links. And then I would say the reason for doing that is because you're wanting to build credibility in these spaces. You're wanting to build trust with these audiences. And so they need to see you around. Like they need to see you in there engaging and adding value before you're ever trying to create a post or drop a link. And the way I kind of tell clients to think about it is upvoting and commenting earns trust, and then posting spins it. So you really want to make sure you've like filled up that trust bank before you ever try to like create a standalone post or extract value from the communities.
I love that framing. Think of it like a trust bank. You are making deposits every time you comment something helpful. You're making withdrawals every time you post your own content. Do not overdraft. Step 3, build your subreddit list. You need volume here. Do not just pick 1 or 2 subreddits. Build a list of 10 to 15 communities where your target audience hangs out. Here's a trick that most people miss, and let me show you. Go to Reddit's ad platform, start creating a campaign. You do not need to pay for anything. And in the targeting section, search for communities related to your niche. Reddit will suggest dozens of related subreddits you'd never have found on your own. Once you have your list, sort them into 2 tiers. Primary subreddits are the ones most closely aligned with your product. Secondary subreddits are adjacent communities where your audience might also spend time. And here's a pro tip from Ross that I want to add. When you get into those subreddits, study what has already worked.
My advice to folks is to, 1, start by actually embracing the fact that you should probably work with an expert, someone who knows it, has embraced it, and has used it for a long time, or just use it as a channel to listen, to learn. Spend the first month just observing how Reddit interacts with your brand. What are people saying about your brand? What are people talking about in the industry that is relevant to you? Go into a subreddit where your audience is spending time and sort the content by top posts, and then analyze those top posts, because what you will see there is what I like to call content market fit. These are pieces of content that your audience clearly liked enough for it to rise to the top. It had the most upvotes, it had the most comments. This is the content that your audience wants. And what you might find is that some of that content was from 2020, 2018, and your audience still would benefit from an updated version of that asset, and you can create it, you can repurpose it, you can rethink it, and then give it back to them.
That's such a smart move. You're not guessing what content will work. You're looking at what already worked and making a better, more current version. Step 4, create value first content. Your posts need to follow a specific structure. Start with a headline that grabs attention, not check out my new app, but I analyzed 50 successful cold email campaigns. Here's what actually worked. Provide genuine value in the body of the post. post. Share a case study, break down a strategy, teach something useful, then and only then mention your product, not as a hard sell, as a natural part of the story. Say, I built a tool that does X, or here's the app I use to do this. And Krista made a great point about when and how to mention your brand.
Once you've sort of established the credibility, look for very natural opportunities. Don't force it, but if you do come across, somebody talking about a really hard situation, maybe that you've seen on your team, that involves your tool or your product, jump in, give context, give advice. I think the biggest thing I would say is when you are recommending your tool or you're, mentioning your brand, I think that's an important time to make sure that you are being transparent about your affiliation. So, if the brand name isn't in your username, in the username that you pick, that's a situation where I would say, to be transparent, I am with team X, and this is what we typically see with our customers.
For subreddits with stricter rules about self-promotion, mention a complementary product alongside yours. If your tool handles design, mention a development tool like Cursor alongside it. This signals to moderators that you are being helpful, not just advertising. Step 5, post across multiple subreddits. Take your best performing post and adapt it for different communities. Do not just copy and paste the exact same thing. Adjust the framing, the headline, and the angle for each subreddit's culture. Posting to 10 subreddits where each post gets 10,000 views means 100,000 total impressions. And if one of them catches fire and hits Reddit's front page, you could see millions of views from a single piece of content. Step 6, reply to every comment, every single one. Good comments, negative comments, questions, all of it. Engagement signals tell Reddit's algorithm to push your post higher. More comments equals more visibility, equals more upvotes, equals more reach. It is a flywheel. And Ross made a point about engagement that I think is really important.
Go in and build connections, add value, and help people in your niche. If you offer a payroll software, don't be afraid to go into a community when somebody in your niche is asking, what webcam should I use? And give them a recommendation on that. That is an okay thing to do.
That is how you build a real reputation on Reddit. You're not just a payroll person. You're a helpful human who also happens to know a lot about payroll. That is a completely different dynamic. Step 7, repeat this 2 to 3 times per week. Reddit rewards consistency. Post too rarely and you lose momentum. Post too often and you risk getting flagged for spam. 2 to 3 posts per week is the sweet spot. Before we move on, I want to hit the biggest mistakes because Ross shared something that I think is a really important warning for anyone thinking about scaling Reddit with AI.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I see folks make a mistake with on Reddit is that they go in and they have this expectation that goes one of 2 ways. Either one, they can use AI and sprinkle it over everything. They're going to use AI to identify threats. They're going to use AI to write the responses. They're going to use AI to create replications of other content assets and submit them into Reddit. And they just do this at scale at a massive level. And the community picks up on it. The community says, hey, this brand is astroturfing. This brand is just filling this community up with SEO slop, AI slop. We need to do something about it. And what happens is actually quite horrific. They will ban the entire business where no mentions of that company can show up in that subreddit anymore. And I've seen that happen. And to be able to fix that, you actually have to play a very, very high level strategic game where you have to kind of beg for forgiveness in some ways.
So it's not just your account that gets banned. The entire brand can get wiped from a subreddit. No one can mention your company name, and that is a nightmare scenario. And a second mistake Ross brought up is equally important.
Marketers go in with one intention, and that is to market. So they don't respond to anyone who's talking about anything outside of their niche. They don't respond to anyone about anything outside of, hey, yes, we offer that product. We offer this tool. If you go in and you actually remove that concept of sell, and instead you go in to engage, and add value, that's how you win.
Marketers, stop marketing. Go in and be a human first. That is the move. Now here's the part that changes everything. Let me show you how Reddit can become your secret weapon for SEO AI search, and market research. Remember what I said about Reddit posts ranking on Google? Let me show you how to use that intentionally. Write your Reddit posts with keywords in mind. If you sell an email marketing tool, write a detailed post titled Best Cold Email Strategies That Actually Got Replies in 2026 in a relevant subreddit. Reddit's domain authority is so high that your post can rank on Google's first page for that keyword within days, sometimes faster than a blog post you spent weeks optimizing. Now you're reaching two audiences at once. Reddit users see it in their feed, and Google searchers find it months later. One well-written post can drive thousands of visits per month long after the Reddit engagement dies down. I created a simple any-day automation that can flag what Reddit conversations are ranking in Google for your target keywords. I'll link that in the description. Ross takes us even further. He has a process for figuring out exactly which Reddit threads are influencing your buyers.
When you start with search intent, you have to understand that there's different types of queries that people are going to use on search, whether it's transactional, commercial, informational, or navigational. Those are some of the types of intent that people have. When someone is in a commercial intent or transactional intent, those are the ones that businesses care the most about, because those are the ones that lead to leads, revenue, SQLs, SALs, etc. So you start by doing an understanding of your customer or yourself's brand's bottom of funnel related queries that have a high conversion rate. You can get some of this data directly out of your PPC data if you're running Google Ads, or you can look at your own organic traffic and look at things like comparison pages, alternative pages, bottom of funnel related queries, and see where they're showing up. Once you have that, you're going to do an analysis of how you rank for these queries, but also do a comparison between you and Reddit.com. A lot of the most popular SEO tools will give you the ability to track this, whether it's SEMrush or Ahrefs or Moz, you name it. You can do an overlap that shows your brand versus Reddit.com, which is your competitor, and you're going to analyze the bottom of funnel overlap there. In addition to that, though, you're going to notice that some of the bottom of funnel queries that you are ranking for aren't all the ones that you want to rank for. Like, there are more out there than just the ones that you rank for. So you're going to incorporate those into your search as well to see if Reddit is influencing those bottom of funnel queries. When you do that, you can now start to see exactly which Reddit threads are influencing your buyers. But again, now you have to take it one step further outside of Google and start thinking about citations. So what you then need to do is upload all of those queries, but in a natural language kind of oriented prompt, and upload those to Ahrefs, Profound, SEMrush, one of the tools that actually tracks citations of Reddit through the LLMs. So you're going to take those prompts, you're going to upload them, and you're going to track them for 30 days. And from that, you're going to start to see whether or not Reddit actually is cited directly in the source.
So you are not just posting on Reddit and hoping for the best. You are tracking which Reddit threads are showing up in Google and in AI answers for your most important keywords. And then you are making sure your brand is in those conversations. Now let me show you another tool that Krista turned me on to. Reddit Pro.
I would say this is where Reddit Pro comes in handy. So if you don't know what Reddit Pro is sort of like a Reddit's own like analytics dashboard for you to gauge kind of your performance on Reddit, and you can actually track keywords and topics, and then it will surface, mentions of those keywords, how many like mention trends, like are people mentioning your brand more over time, and then it will also analyze sentiment. So I think all of this is very like in beta right now, but I have to assume Reddit will be investing a ton in this moving forward. But right now today, you could go on Reddit Pro and you could add your brand name to the tracking, and it will surface where you're being talked about, how you're being talked about, and then over time, it will show you whether that is increasing or not. And then I'm really excited about the new sentiment feature that I found on it the other day, because that's where I think brands will get the most value, because then you can track sentiment over time as well.
Reddit Pro is still in beta, but it is a really useful free tool for understanding how your brand is being talked about on the platform. Set it up, add your brand name, add your competitors, and just start watching. Now, if you want something more comprehensive than Reddit Pro, I want to show you a tool called Karmatic that actually operationalizes everything we've been talking about in this video. I sat down with Robert Johns, the CTO who built it, and he walked me through the entire platform.
I'm a co-founder and CTO at Karmatic. And yeah, I mean, we created Karmatic initially as an internal tool. Like, I'm also a CTO at a venture capital firm called VentureKite. And we have a portfolio of websites, and those websites were understandably hit like everybody else was in the last 18 months, 24 months with regards to core updates, but also AI arriving and the obvious emphasis on Reddit. It became clear to us that Reddit was becoming very important and we needed to make that a part of our strategy. So we started internally working on Reddit, then it became clear this is going to be something that's going to affect a lot of people. So we formalized that into the product that is Karmatic today, which is essentially a Reddit marketing operating system is how we tend to describe it. It's for any brand in any industry to try and operationalize Reddit in a way where they can hopefully have the impact they want without the fear, the scare.
What I like about this tool is it's built around 3 columns: listen, understand, and engage, which maps directly to what Ross and Krista have been saying this entire video. You have to listen first, understand the community, then participate.
You have listen on the left, understand in the center, and engage on the right-hand side. And essentially it's a 1, 2, 3 procedure. You start on day 1 by setting up your listening. That's configuring what you want Karmatic to listen for you. It then begins collecting data immediately, and that gets fed into the understand column, which I'll dive into in some detail, which shows you everything that's happening in Reddit that matters to you right now. And the engage column is where you go after you've understood your audience so you can start participating. So it's very simple. It's listening first, understanding what's happening, then choosing to engage when you feel like you understand how to participate. So in listening, for instance, you have 4 sections. You've got subreddits, keywords, brand, and competitor. And the idea is you just say, okay, these are the subreddits that I think matter to my brand. I want to listen to those. You select the ones that you want. We give you some pre-selected options, or you can add your own. You simply enter the name of any subreddit, click add, you'll get a box. So if I put in SEO, for instance, you'll get a confirmation box. Great, you want to listen to this one, just confirm it's the right Reddit. Is this the size, the year, the description? Are we on the right one? If yes, track. And then you begin listening to subreddit. So that's stage 1. You can also, if you like, enable daily email summaries where you get an inbox message every day giving you a summary of what's happened in that subreddit. Keywords is the next stage. So your brand is naturally going to be thinking about certain keywords that matter to it, and it's the same on Reddit. And what you can do is list all the keywords that you think matter. You can choose to get keyword ideas if you're not sure where to start, and we'll give you some suggestions. But you create your keywords, and then once you've done that, Reddit, or rather Karmatic, starts listening and scanning Reddit for those keywords. But the one thing it does that's super important is that it has a semantic relevance layer. So what it tries to say is, okay, you care about this keyword, but we know your business is focused on this. Let's make sure the things that we surface to you are relevant to your business. A great example we've had, and we've said this on nearly every call we've ever had, is that we had one company who focused on coding and they like the programming language Python. Excellent. Now, without semantic relevance, you could be surfacing stuff about zoos or snakes, not coding. So it seems super simple, but it's that extra layer of reasoning that allows the tool to get you the information that matters. So keywords are fairly understandable for most brands. Then you have brand tracking, and this is where you enter your brand name and your brand website. With this information, we can generate a brand summary for you. And this brand summary is the kind of secret sauce that's used behind the scenes to say, great, this is how we're going to semantically check and gut check any content we find for you. Is it relevant to your brand based upon what we think your brand does? And you have the option to change this at any stage. And you also have the option to dial in or dial out how harsh the filtering is. If you feel like you're getting too much noise, turn that number up. If you're getting too few results, turn the number down. And you just figure this out over time. And usually we help our clients figure this out too. I'd also mention that in each of these options, you have the ability to toggle generate tasks. And tasks are the real-time alerts that would appear in your inbox. And these are updating every 10 minutes. So if you're following your brand, if your brand's actively discussed on Reddit, you might want to know as soon as someone's mentioned it so you can be there really quickly. You haven't got time to hover on Reddit, but we'll hover there for you. The same goes with keywords. There may be a keyword you're really hot on right now and you want to participate in all of the threads that make sense. The inbox is the great place to do that. So you've got brand tracking, and then finally competitor tracking. And this is essentially anyone that you think is your direct competitor. They're likely on Reddit, and if they're not, that's fine, you need to know that too. You can add all of your competitors and begin surfacing what people are saying about them too. And that allows you to get a picture as to how are they received, what strategies are they using, what's working for them. A great way to kind of reverse engineer success of people that you want to be like. So if you're a challenger brand, you've got a brand that you really think is crushing it on Reddit, how are they doing it? This is a great way to figure that out.
In the listen column, you configure everything you want Karmatic to monitor for you. Your target subreddits, keywords that matter to your business, your brand mentions, and your competitors. It is an always-on engine scanning Reddit and sending you real-time alerts when relevant threads appear.
What you can do is list all the keywords that you think matter. You can choose to get keyword ideas if you're not sure where to start, and we'll give you some suggestions. But you create your keywords, and then once you've done that, Reddit, or rather Karmatic, starts listening and scanning Reddit for those keywords. But the one thing it does that's super important is that it has a semantic relevance layer. So what it tries to say is, okay, you care about this keyword, but we know your business is focused on this. Let's make sure the things that we surface to you are relevant to your business. A great example we've had, and we've said this on nearly every call we've ever had, is that we had one company who focused on coding, and they like the programming language Python. Excellent. Now, without semantic relevance, you could be surfacing stuff about zoos or snakes, not coding.
Here's the part that I think is really clever. Remember when I said you need to match the tone and format of each subreddit? Karmatic's Understand column does that analysis for you automatically.
Understand is really where all of the huge value is in figuring out what's happening on Reddit. And this is divided into 4 sections. So you have subreddits, keywords, brand, and competitors. So the same as we mentioned in Listen, you track all of this, you can then understand all of it individually. And if we're focusing on subreddits, for instance, you will have decided to follow a range of subreddits, and you can choose which one you want to look at that moment in time. And all the information is tailored to that subreddit. So you can get into each subreddit by subreddit, because each one's obviously got its own community, its own vibe, its own norms. And you also have the option to look at this on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. And you can scan back through days to figure out what happened every day in the last week. So I'll spend a bit of time talking about what's in this section, because this is, I think, where a lot of our clients get massive value. And that is topic clusters. What is going on in this subreddit today? What are the topics that are getting the most upvotes, the most comments? What are people caring about? So you've got the topic cluster, keywords related to that, the current sentiment, also an example post, so you can go and have a look at what's going on. Beyond that, you have a sentiment analysis. What is prevailing sentiment in this subreddit today? Is it predominantly neutral, as it is here? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is that any different to the weekly picture? And as we can see, not too dissimilar. And one of the big things we tell our clients is that the sentiment analysis enables you to have a sense for how do people communicate in this subreddit. If they're mostly neutral, it's probably not going to be beneficial to you to tend to be hugely negative or hugely positive. Understanding the norms and the vibe in your community enables you to become one of them rather than an outlier, an invader that they look at with a raised eyebrow. So the sentiment is a great check for that. Then you have topic trends. What's trending in that subreddit? What day did that happen? You could look at this based on upvotes or comments or combined, so depending on what your focus is. And then this is also super helpful. It's the content formats that are working in that subreddit right now. So stances, niche hacks, comparisons, help articles. These are the types of format that people respond positively to in the subreddit. So if you have a subreddit you want to make your mark, you want your brand to be present, understanding the sentiment, understanding the format enables you to formulate a strategy to think, great, I know how I'm going to stick myself in here and feel like I'm one of the people. Not I'm going to force my Pinterest or my Instagram or my X strategy. I'm going to do the strategy that works for the subreddit.
It shows you topic clusters, what people are actually talking about right now in each subreddit. Sentiment analysis, whether the community skews positive, negative, or neutral. The content formats that are working, whether people respond better to, say, comparisons, how-to guides, niche hacks, or hot takes. And it even has a heat map showing the best times to post by day and hour.
Leading on to that is the best posting times. This is a really helpful way for you to get a feel for when am I going to get the most impact? Do I want to be posting at a time when no one's participating or posting at a time when people care the most? And you can look at this heat map to say, great, Wednesday, 9 a.m., people are really active and are voting in the subreddit. I should probably consider being there.
That is exactly what Krista was saying earlier about matching the tone, and this is my favorite feature. At the bottom of the Understand column, there are community signals that surface unmet needs in real time.
Then you have the top post in that subreddit, which is fairly self-explanatory. And at the bottom, the thing that a lot of our clients get a huge light bulb moment with is the community signals. And this is essentially what is happening right now in English terms. So we've got unmet needs, debates, and confident claims. Which needs are unmet for this audience right now on the subreddit? This is a great way for you to figure out what do they actually genuinely want. And if you have a product, you have a brand that aligns with this, it can help you figure out your own strategy to align your product with their needs, whether that is product related or even maybe it's content related. If you want to create content, great, there's an unmet need in this. I can create a content if I have expertise in that area. So this is an awesome way to figure out what do people want right now in this space.
Think about how powerful that is. Instead of guessing what to post, you can see exactly what people in your target subreddits are asking for right now. And it also surfaces debates people are having and confident claims the community holds strongly, so you know what to lean into and what to avoid. And when you are ready to post, the Engage column generates draft ideas that are directly fed from those unmet needs.
And the Engage column can help with that in lots of different ways. So one way is to generate ideas. So you might be looking for post ideas. You could pick a subreddit that you want to post in, click on generate idea, it will send off a request, and then within a few seconds your inbox will update and you get a new idea. So this is from the marketing subreddit, does free sampling convert to paying customers? If this seems like something that you want to participate in, you could then create a draft. When you want to create a draft, you then get this option here to decide how you want to draft this information. What tone do I want to use? Well, there's information on tone in the understand column. It makes sense to pick a tone that is positively received. What format? Similarly, what is positively received right now? And the same for length. You can set these up, add any additional notes, click generate draft. It sends that request off, and within a few seconds in our drafts inbox over here, we get a new draft that is basically the starting part for you to create your own content. We would say that this is obviously AI generated, but the key is to put your human touch and your human voice on this.
You pick a subreddit, generate an idea that addresses a real unmet need, set your tone and format to match what works in that community, and it creates a starting draft for you. But here's the important part.
When you have your draft here, you can have a read through, figure out if you want to change it, if you want to keep it, whatever it is that you think sounds good, keep. Whatever you want to discard. You can then copy that and you can click on one of these buttons here to go and post it on our marketing. But before doing that, what we like to share as well is this danger review. So we give you a view into how likely is this content to be received in this subreddit. Now, we're going to try and draft for you something that we think has a really high likelihood of acceptance, but if you make your own changes, you can rerun the review and see if you're moving the needle one way or the other. And one way that we do that is to check rule compliance, make sure there's a low probability of being flagged for spam, trying to ensure that your tone matches up with the subreddit, and just giving you, again, another gut check and another confidence point to say, okay, I think I can post this. I'm not going to get flamed. I'm not going to get banned. My brand isn't going to be harmed by doing this.
That is exactly right. And that is consistent with what Ross said earlier about AI slop getting brands banned at the brand level. Karmatic gives you the research and a starting point, but you still need to put your voice on it and post it yourself. One more thing that is really useful, they have a danger review feature that checks whether your post is likely to get flagged for spam or violate subreddit rules before you post it. It checks rule compliance, spam probability, and tone matching, so you get that gut check before you hit publish. So between Reddit Pro for free basic analytics and Karmatic for a full Reddit marketing operating system, there are real tools now that make this manageable. If you want to try Karmatic, Robert mentioned everyone gets a 10-day free trial at karmatic.ai. You'll get full access to everything I just showed you. I'll put the link in the description. Now, beyond SEO and AI search, Reddit is the best free market research tool on the internet. Want to know what your customers actually think about your competitors? Search their name on Reddit. You will find brutally honest reviews, feature requests, and complaints that no survey could ever surface. Want to validate a new product idea before you build it? Post about it on Reddit. If people upvote it and start asking where to sign up, you have something. If they tear it apart, you just saved yourself months of building the wrong thing. Now, 2 more things before I give you the 90-day playbook. Should you create your own subreddit, and should you run Reddit ads? On branded subreddits, I got very different but complementary answers from Krista and Ross.
I would say more often than not, the answer is you should not start your own branded subreddit. I think most brands get more value from engaging in existing subreddits where their audience already lives. This is because, standing up your own branded subreddit, it takes a lot of consistency and it takes resources. And so I think when you should start your own is when, you're probably a bigger brand and there's probably a lot of organic conversation about you and your product on Reddit already. So this is where the social listening thing comes in handy, right? So like go on Reddit Pro, see how many mentions there are, today of your brand. And if you're big enough, if there's, that organic demand, then maybe it's time. And maybe, you use it as a way to kind of funnel all of those mentions into a place where you have a little bit more control of what is served up.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the size. Like, I don't think any early stage startup, early stage company should be thinking right now, unless they are publicly traded, have massive growth, massive traction, about starting up a subreddit and really like trying to build from the ground up. However, if you are already winning, if you're the market leader, if you are the contender, if you have tons and tons of traction and customers, I would strongly encourage you to create a subreddit. I think brand ownership is key. You should have set up the subreddit 5 years ago, but the second best time to do it is now. So create your brand subreddit. Then in that subreddit, you are going to see the content and the materials and the story that goes there. Some people might run into a spot where they're like, wait, my subreddit already exists. Send a DM to the mod that exists today and ask them if they would be open for you to be a co-mod. They might say no. And that's just a part of Reddit. And in those cases, I encourage you to just try to build a relationship where you're allowed to be active in your subreddit and you can engage with other people within the niche.
So the framework is this. If you're early stage, focus all your energy on engaging in existing subreddits. If you are an established brand with people already talking about you, create your branded subreddit and consider building a category subreddit for your audience. Now, what about Reddit ads versus organic? Here's where it gets interesting. Reddit's active advertiser base grew 75% last quarter. That tells you brands are finding real ROI there. But here's my take. Start organic, build trust first. Once you know which subreddits respond to your content, use ads to amplify what is already working. Organic builds trust, ads buy reach. You need both, but in that order. All right, let's pull everything together into a 90-day playbook that you can start today. Weeks 1 through 2, lurk and learn. Join 10 to 15 subreddits. Read the top posts from the last year. Study the tone, the rules, the culture. Comment on posts where you have genuine expertise. Build Carba. This is Krista's trust bank phase. Deposits only. Weeks 3 through 6, start posting. 2 to 3 value first posts per week. No self-promotion yet. Answer questions, share insights, use Ross's content market fit method. Find top posts from the past, create updated versions. Become a recognized name in your subreddits. Weeks 7 through 10, introduce your product naturally. Use the post formula. Lead with value. Mention your product as part of the story. Be transparent about your affiliation and track which subreddits drive traffic using UTM parameters. In weeks 11 through 12, scale what works. Double down on the subreddits and content types that performed best. Consider testing Reddit ads on your top performing organic content and set up Reddit Pro to track your brand mentions and sentiment. Start thinking about creating your own subreddit if you are building a community. Now, before we wrap, I want to share one prediction from Krista about where Reddit is heading, because I think it is going to affect everyone watching this.
I think they're going to really lean into building out functionality in Reddit Pro, because I think it's going to become a more and more important social listening tool. I think they will also really start investing more in Reddit Answers, which is their own search engine on the platform. Obviously, I think that is a no-brainer because AI search has become so important over the past, 12 to 15 months, and they realize the value of what they have. There's a reason why all these other AI search platforms are training on their content. So I think they'll really invest in becoming a player in that space. And then I also think we will see the LinkedInification of Reddit. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I hope to not offend Redditors who are strictly anti-LinkedIn. What I mean by that is I just think we're going to see a lot more marketers learning how to use it kind of like creators. I think we're going to see a lot of marketers who are creating, accounts that are not anonymous, where they can, offer their expertise and advice in different subreddits. I think we'll see people, individuals and brands, start to create more subreddits that are less about this is my brand and more about this is a topic that is important to my industry. So yeah, I think we'll see a little bit more of a creator flavor.
I think she's right. Reddit is becoming less anonymous and more creator driven, and the marketers who get in now, while the playbook is still relatively unknown, are going to have a massive head start. 121 million daily active users, revenue growing 70% year over year, posts that rank on Google, AI tools citing Reddit threads in their answers, an audience that actually reads what you write and tells you honestly what they think. Reddit is the most underrated marketing channel in 2026, but only if you respect how it works. Lead with value, earn your karma, and play the long game. A huge thank you to Ross, Krista, and Robert for sharing their expertise. I will link to all of their businesses in the description below. If this was helpful, hit subscribe, drop a comment telling me which subreddit you're going to start with, and if you want more breakdowns like this on channels that actually move the needle, I will see you in the next video.